Aloha. Welcome to our Pono Process training. I'm Patricia, the Pono Process lead, and joining me today is Noi, Pono Process navigator, and Delia, Pono Process supervisor. We're excited to share with you all today about the Pono Process. The Pono Process is an additional support for youth to use in the event that their rights are not being honored and upheld. This is presented by the State of Hawaii's Department of Human Services, Child Welfare Services, and Epic Ohana. Before we start, we'd like to go through some general housekeeping for today. Please place your name, role, and section or unit into the chat. When possible, we ask that you please turn your cameras on so we can see everyone's beautiful faces. Please keep yourself muted, and if you have any questions, we ask that you place them into the chat and we will address them after the training. During today's training, we will be speaking about multiple aspects that play a huge part in the creation of the Pono process. So let's start with the Preventing Sex Trafficking and Strengthening Families Act. The Preventing Sex Trafficking and Strengthening Families Act of 2014, but passed in Hawaii in 2016, covers a wide range of topics from preventing sex trafficking to family connections and more. The pieces of this law that we'll be focusing on today are around normalcy and prudent parenting. This groundbreaking federal law is designed to promote well being and normalcy for youth in foster care. The Act directs state child welfare agencies, contracted providers, and courts to facilitate age appropriate experiences for these youth and to take other steps to support normalcy and promote permanency. In the area of normalcy, the Act specifically requires states to do the following. 1. Ensure that children in foster care engage in age or developmentally appropriate activities, and some of these activities may include allowing a young person to participate in sports, going on field trips, sleepovers, and more. 2. Institute the reasonable and prudent parenting standard for youth participation in activities. And this is important as prior to the implementation of this act, foster youth would need the approval from their social workers to engage in normal activities. And more often than not, by the time the approval was given, the opportunities had already been passed up for that young person. So, what this is saying is that resource caregivers can now give that young person the approval to participate in those activities. 3. Develop standards and trainings on the reasonable and prudent parenting for resource caregivers. 4. Institute liability protections when the reasonable and prudent parenting standard is applied by resource caregivers. And this is just saying that resource caregivers can now exercise the reasonable and prudent parenting standard without fear of facing repercussions such as being sued. 5. Require participation of youth age 14 or older in case planning and identification of advisors or advocates. 6. Mandate provisions of a list of rights to youth age 14 and older, but I know here in Hawaii our age is actually 12. And last but not least, 7. Mandate inclusion of youth age 14 and older in transition planning. Now that's a lot of information to take in. But really, what this is saying is that while there's no single normal childhood experience, normalcy refers to the age and developmentally appropriate activities and experiences that will allow children and youth to grow. It means that youth are able to do what is considered routine for many teenagers, such as participate in sports, spending time with friends, dating, sleepovers, having a cell phone, and trips. And those are just some examples. It also includes opportunities for youth to take on additional responsibilities and freedoms, such as learning how to drive, working a part time job, or even having a later curfew. Through these activities, youth learn their interests and talents, safely experiment and take risks, practice decision making skills, and develop healthy and peer adult relationships. We'd now like to share with you all a short video of young people's experience in foster care as it relates to normalcy.
I never felt at home with my first placement as a foster kid. Uh, One of the things that was really weird for me was that they ate cereal in the morning. Coming from a Chinese cultural family, I mean, we eat rice or saimin in the morning for breakfast. And I remember asking them, or asking my social worker if I could eat saimin. And they had denied me of that. And so I felt very out of place. I really felt that they didn't respect my culture. They didn't really see me as an individual. and that really made me feel out of place and not normal in that sense.
One Thanksgiving, the foster kids, including myself, had to sit down on the smaller table, and her biological family and friends were sitting down on the bigger table. And they had continuous access to the food, and we only had the one plate she had made for us. And after we were sent to our rooms to just sit there and kind of just wait, and it made me feel like I wasn't a part of the family.
There was a list of rules that was on your door. There was like 24 of them. I remember that they would say things like lights out at 9 o'clock or no eating after dinner, and they would even lock the fridges at one point in time.
I felt like I had a decent amount of freedom. I was expected to follow the household rules. I would have to do chores every day. Sunday through Friday, it would take like 15 minutes to do chores, and on Saturday it would take like 2 hours. But I felt like I learned that it was a part of life. I was able to um, go surfing on the weekend as long as we finished our chores, and roughly once a week I would cook in the household. So that taught me how to cook, essentially.
From a young, before I aged out of foster care, my foster mom really encouraged working. She believed in earning, us young people earning our own money. So we know the value of money, how to manage our own money and things like that.
One foster family that I went with, that they were just great. They were really great people. They made me feel really, really, really normal. I was able to participate in marching band. I had a cell phone, I had a computer. They, at one point in time, tried to help me get my license, but the social worker didn't allow it. But they would fight for everything that I kept telling them that I wanted. And it was great because I actually felt like they loved me as their own. And they didn't have any kids. So to go from a home where I wasn't in someone's family to being accepted and knowing that someone cared for me was just an awesome feeling.
We had no visitation with our own siblings. So what they did, the foster parents, were each week they would take a shift where they would pick us all up, we would visit each other, go swimming with each other, at least have visitation with our siblings, which that was really awesome.
I mean, this is the first place that when the family is going on a vacation, I actually got to go along with them because I was a part of the family. So I went to Oregon and I met all of my mom's family, and they introduced me as their son. So that made me feel very normal.
He made me and my brother felt very welcomed. I felt loved, and I feel like that was the main thing. He really did treat us like part of his family.
Thank you all so much for watching that video with us. We understand how emotional that video can be, and we always give thanks to our young people who are willing to share their stories. This is actually a really great transitioning point into talking about the Foster Youth Bill of Rights. So in 2018, the Foster Youth Bill of Rights was passed into law, and I'm actually going to ask if Noy would mind sharing about the first few rights listed on this form.
Thank you, Patty. So aloha, my name is Noy Warchit. I am the Pono Process navigator. And I will go over some of the rights that young people have while they are in foster care. So young people have the right to be free from physical, psychological, sexual, and other forms of abuse. Young people have the right to food, shelter, and clothing, as well as receive medical care, dental services, corrective vision care, and mental health services. Young people have the right to be enrolled in health insurance plans and be provided with a health assessment. Young people also have the right to have regular, supervised or unsupervised in-person, telephone, or other forms of contact with their parents and siblings unless it's deemed inappropriate or not appropriate by the courts, or unsafe by the social worker, therapist, GL, or CASA. Also, withholding visits from the young person's family cannot be used as a form of punishment. And this is really important for us because in the past, we saw that young people were not given visitation if they did not make good grades in school, or if they came home from a visit and they were acting out, when really that's an appropriate response to trauma. So they were visits were withheld, and that is no longer allowed according to the Foster Youth Bill of Rights. If a young person is 14 or older, the young person has the right to be involved in developing their own case plan and planning for their future, as well as have in-person contact with their social worker. They also have the right to have regular in-person contact with their guardian ad litem or CASA, and receive notice of their court hearings, to attend and get transportation to those hearings. They have the right to speak with a judge, as well as ask for an attorney if opinions and requests differ from that of their guardian ad litem. When I was in care, it meant a lot to me to be able to be involved in my court hearings. I was a minor mother in foster care, so the stakes were high if I wasn't engaged. Through being engaged in my court process, I knew what I needed to do, what kind of services I needed to complete in order to be reunified with my daughter. So we were lucky that my foster mom at the time, she wanted to take both my daughter and I. So we lived in the same home. At one time, my daughter was also my foster sister. And I say lucky because a lot of young parents, they don't have that option. There are not homes set up for mothers and their babies to be together. When I exited foster care, my daughter and I had the tools and the resources that we needed in order to be successful. Now that I'm an adult and professional, I've had the privilege of working with young mothers who have their child involved in the child welfare system. And what I've learned is that it's so important for young people to feel heard, and encouraged to advocate for themselves. It's important to have a social worker that includes them in the decision-making process, because when all the programs and the people are gone, they will have to be the ones to make those decisions themselves, right? And it's also important to have a judge that listens and understands. And these things will empower young people to have better outcomes. So thank you for allowing me to share my story. And at this time, I'm going to throw it back to Patty so she can take you through the rest of the rights.
Thank you so much, Noe, for sharing with us those first few rights and also sharing with us your story and really the power of using your voice in a court type setting. Moving forward with the rest of the rights, around education, a young person has the right to attend school and remain in their original school if it's in their best interests. They also have a right to be provided transportation to their original school, receive their educational records, and if changing schools, be enrolled in the new school immediately. Around religious and extracurricular activities, a young person has the right to exercise their own religious beliefs, which includes refusing to attend religious activities and services. A young person also has the right to participate in extracurricular, cultural, and social activities. Around independent living services and documents, there's a lot that encompasses this, but what this is saying is that a young person has a right to have an access to their own bank account and also help managing that as well. At age 12, a young person has the right to be part of developing their transition plan and also participating in independent living program services. At age 14, a young person has a right to receive a copy of their credit report every year, assistance in understanding that, and assistance correcting that, but this is only while they are in foster care. And at age 17, a young person has the right to receive their personal documents such as certified birth certificate, state ID, social security card, and so much more. You'll notice that at the bottom of this document, there's actually an area for youth to sign as well as a social worker. That's because this document that you're seeing is the official form that social workers review with youth in foster care. If the youth is 12 years or older, this document must be signed and transmitted to court every 6 months. All right, now that we've gone through the Foster Youth Bill of Rights, we'd like to engage with you all in a few polls around these rights. If you cannot see the poll on your screen, we've included the questions on this slide. Please input your answers into the chat if you're unable to use this poll. Remember that these are only true or false questions. All right, so now that you've had a few moments to answer the poll, let's review the answers. 1. Withholding visits with the youth's family cannot be used as a form of punishment. The answer to this is true. This was very important in the creation of the Foster Youth Bill of Rights, as Noy had stated earlier, as we found that many young people were actually being punished by withholding visitations with their family because of the way in which they were acting out, either from coming home from visits or even if they were not doing something within the home, young people were being told, well, then you can't go and see your family. This cannot happen. 2. A youth has a right to refuse to attend religious services. This is true. 3. A youth has a right to have a copy of their birth certificate, but not state ID. This one was kind of a trick one, so this one's actually false. Young people have a right to have a copy of their birth certificate and their state ID. It's important to note, though, that in the Foster Youth Bill of Rights, it states at age 17. It's important that young people are given their vital documents upon aging out of care, but also recognizing that a 14 or 15-year-old may need these documents to do certain things, so being aware of that. 4. If a youth is moved, they must attend the school in their new district. This is also false. If a youth is moved to a new resource home, they actually can continue to stay in their original school if it's found in their best interests. And 5. A youth has a right to get notice of, attend, and receive transportation to their court hearings. This is also true. Thank you all so much for engaging in these polling questions with us, and we'd now like to move forward with sharing with you all about the Pono process. Since the passing of the Foster Youth Bill of Rights, child welfare, community partners, and young people have been working on creating a grievance process, or as it's been named, the Pono Process. It's been named the Pono Process because we recognize that grievance has a very heavy word to it, and this program or this support is not meant to be a gotcha. It's meant to allow team members and young people to collaborate in a way that is Pono with one another. The pictures that you see on this slide are actually from an event in 2019 with High Hopes board members statewide partnering with Child Welfare, Family Court, GAL CASA, and other service providers. And during this event, we worked together on developing prototypes of what this grievance process would look like. In July of 2020 at Ohana's Forever, the Pono process was officially launched. I want to note, though, that this partnership from this 2019 event continues today as a Pono Process Committee has been formed and continues to work together on the development and implementation of the Pono Process. Our vision for the Pono Process is a commitment to collaborate as a community on the creation and implementation of the Pono Process, as well as to assure that the rights of children and youth in foster care are honored and upheld. Along with our vision of the Pono process, we also have values. And those values are that it's youth friendly, meaning it's easy to access and easy to understand for young people. Youth voice and engagement, meaning when the young person is utilizing the process, a young person is heard and involved. Free from retaliation, so a young person is not punished or removed for filing a grievance. Timely, that the action on the grievance process will occur quickly and efficiently, also while understanding, though, that some grievances will not be able to be handled within a day or two. Respectful and empathetic. And this is just really stating that myself and Noy, the staff who handle the grievances, will be respectful and helpful in supporting the young person and, of course, the team members as well. Neutrality. And we achieve this by having a separate navigator to receive and field initial grievances. Communication and transparency. This is a two-part one. So one, that youth and relevant parties are notified of action being taken, and two, that the results of the grievance or request are being conveyed in a timely manner. Accountability and authority, meaning there's a chain of command, panel, or decision-making team that has authority or can hold people accountable in making these things happen or achieving a resolution. And of course, last but definitely not least, confidentiality. that a young person's information when filing a grievance will always remain with appropriate parties only and handled in a way that does not peg young people as a troublemaker to outside parties or team members. I'd like to hand it over to Noy to take us through the rest of the training.
Thanks, Patty. So, what you see in front of you are the self advocacy options for young people in foster care. Our Pono Process staff encourages young people to talk about what they need and to work with their team first. So, that would be option one. Young people also have the right to meet with their judge, option two. And option three would be to utilize the Pono Process. And the chart is listed in this way to impress upon young people that they should work with their team first. The Pono Process should be a last resort measure, even if the Pono Process is a great resource. With that in mind, advocacy is not easy. Therefore, we have developed a prevention piece. The prevention piece that we have been working on is a self-advocacy training for young people between the ages of 12 to 17 who enter the foster care system. And we want to emphasize that it's a prevention piece because we want to teach young people to advocate for themselves in a way that allows them to not have to utilize the Pono Process. In addition to self-advocacy, this training focuses on educating youth on their rights in foster care, also known as the Bill of Rights, what we just went over a few slides ago, as well as educate youth on what the Pono Process is. We expect to roll out this training in the next several months, and if we could have all of your help in recruiting young people, that would be really great. Now, we would like to share with you all a short video explanation of what the Pono Process is, made by our very own Patty.
The Pono Process, working together to honor youth's rights, presented by the State of Hawaii's Department of Human Services, Child Welfare Services, and Epic Ohana. In 2018, the Foster Youth Bill of Rights became law. Some of these rights include the right to visitation with family, such as your siblings and parents, the right to live in a safe home, the right to participate in extracurricular activities, and the right to access vital documents such as your birth certificate and state ID. If you are a youth in foster care, and if you have any questions or concerns about your case or feel that your rights are not being upheld, you have the right to talk to your team consisting of your social worker, CASA GAL, and foster parents, or speak to your judge. If you are in need of any additional support, try the Pono Process. The Pono Process is an additional support for youth to use in the event that their rights are not being honored and upheld. Pono means to be just, fair, and upright. We chose this word as a reminder to always do right by our youth. To use the Pono Process, follow these steps. Step 1. A youth files a grievance with the Pono Process Navigator through email, phone, website, or form. A grievance is an official statement of concern. Step 2. The Pono Navigator receives the grievance. The Pono Navigator is a professional with experience in the foster care system who will guide youth through the Pono Process and connect youth to the people that can help with the youth's concern. Step 3. More information will be gathered about the grievance with the youth by the Pono Navigator. Step 4. The Pono Navigator will reach out to the youth's team to inform the team of the youth's grievance. Step 5. The youth and their team will work together to reach a resolution. In this step, team members may reach out to the youth for more information and input. The Pono Navigator will stay informed of the grievance. Step 6. If no resolution is found by the team, the grievance is passed on to the Pono Protectors. Pono Protectors are additional supporters who have authority to help team members find a resolution. The Pono Protectors, youth, and team will work together to reach a resolution. Step 7. If no resolution is found by the Pono Protectors and team, they will assist the youth to explore legal options. The Pono Process should be used as a last resort measure in the events that your rights are not being upheld and honored and you've used all other options. But if you are in need of support, try Pono. For more information or to use the Pono process, please contact us through email pono@epicohana.org, call 833-TRI-PONO or 833-879-7666, text 808-838-1463, or visit our website at www.ponoprocess.org. Together, we can ensure that your rights are honored and upheld.
Okay, so on a side note, I just want to mention that I have a great appreciation for that video and for Patty. I had no idea what it took to make a doodly, how to find out the graphics and match the audio. So Patty actually offered to teach me, and as we were going through it, I said, "Oh no, you can be in charge of the videos." So thank you, Patty, for your gifts, your talents, and your creativity. And we're going to get right back into the training. So some key things to remember from that video are the roles of certain people. Like the Pono Process Navigator, I'm the navigator and Patty is the lead. We're professionals with experience in the foster care system who will guide youth through the Pono process and connect youth to the people that can help with the youth's concern. There's also the Pono Process team. This team can consist of the youth, their social worker, guardian ad litem, court-appointed special advocate, resource caregiver, as well as a therapist sometimes. And they work together to resolve the youth's concern. We also have Pono protectors who are professionals in positions of assigned authority that make decisions independently or in conjunction with other team members as necessary to resolve grievances that are able to be handled outside of a court process. So Pono protectors for child welfare have been identified as the section administrators. On Oahu, our Pono protectors have been identified as Dina Koyanagi from Child Welfare Services, Faye Kimura from the Court Improvement Program, and Amphi Champathong from the CASA program. On Kauai, we have Eva Lani. On the Big Island, we have Roz and Jamie. On Maui, we have Annie and Kelly. And we are sorry, I don't know if are we still identifying more Pono protectors on the neighbor islands for the courts?
Yep, only for Kauai.
Okay, just for Kauai. Thank you, Patty. And the flowchart that you're seeing in front of you are the 7 steps on how to use the Pono process. In steps 1 to 3, once the youth submits a grievance via website, email, or phone, the navigator will receive it and then follows up with the youth to gather additional information as well as confirm that the concern would be actually considered a grievance. In these steps, a Pono process information sheet will be filled out and any resources necessary will be provided to the young person. We recognize that some youth just need help connecting to other programs or resources like enhancement funds or the Youth Circles program, or they need a prom dress, in which case we would inform the youth team that we have assisted the youth and address what the concern was after we've helped the young person. If the concern is considered a grievance, the 4th step would be for the navigator to send the information grievance sheet along with any other relevant information to the youth's team. Additionally, initial notice of the grievance and Pono process information sheet will be sent to the Child Welfare Services branch administrator and assistant branch administrator, Eladine and Tonya, as well as a social worker and supervisor. And the purpose of this is to tag Pono process cases for select review. Once this happens, an internal review will occur within the department. And this is so that we can learn how to prevent similar grievances from repeating in the future. In step 5, the youth and the youth team will work together to reach a resolution. The navigator will stay informed of the grievance by following up with the team members and the youth on a weekly basis. If a resolution is not found, the next step would be to bring in Pono protectors. And if a resolution is still not found, the Pono protector's role will be to assist the youth in exploring legal options, such as scheduling a meeting with the judge or assisting the young person in obtaining their own attorney. We also have a website that contains all of the information that we shared with you all today. So please feel free to check us out at www.ponoprocess.org. If you need more information, please do not hesitate to contact us in any which way that we have listed in this slide, whether it's through phone, text, email. You can call us directly or email us directly as well. And mahalo for allowing us the time to share with you all this information today. And at any time that you're ready, please, unmute or virtually raise your hand or put in the chat box if you have any questions. Thank you all so much.
All right, so I see that we've got some really great questions rolling in the chat. Our first question is there someone that the youth can contact on their islands? If not, who can they contact? That is a wonderful question. We do not have staff for all the islands, but we do have myself and Noi, who is a Pono Process lead and navigator, and a young person can always reach out to one of us.
We are statewide. So if a young person needs to contact us, we are available in many different avenues, such as through our website or through text, through email. They can call us and someone will be available at any given time or be available to return their call. Other ways that a young person can reach out is through people that they trust. So whether it be a counselor or auntie or uncle, and they should know how to get in touch with us.
Another question that we got is if my youth wants to dance hula, but her social worker is wanting to put her in soccer because that's what her mom wants her to do, would she file a grievance?